Johnny Talk Sports here at the Week 1 college football predictions for the year 2020. And it is hard to believe that we are playing college football this year. Well, football in general, considering what we have gone through not only as a country, but for the international viewers as a world throughout the first 8 months of the year. But we have college football this week. In fact, we had a game last week between Austin Peay and Central Arkansas, and what a game that was. You couldn't have asked for a better ending to the first game of the college football season. Now we are on to the Week 1 predictions. So my original plan was to cut down predicting 10 games a week to only 7 a week, which I think could still be the plan once we get into the later portions of the season when the SEC begins their season in a few weeks. Or if the Big Ten actually starts their season earlier than anticipated because President Trump had a discussion with the new Big Ten Commissioner Kevin Warren about possibly bumping up the start of the Big Ten's football season. So that could still be in the works. But unfortunately for this week, due to the lack of matchups, at least that don't seem very one-sided, I have limited the picks this week to only 5 games, and I apologize for that, but we just have to accept that with what we have. We just got to be appreciative of it, that we are seeing college football this week. So the first game that I have to predict this week is Central Arkansas versus UAB. And Central Arkansas is coming off that thrilling victory over Austin Peay, the game-winning touchdown in the final 40 seconds in that game. And now they go and play UAB this week. And I know there really isn't much numbers to go off of from last year, but there is something you can go off of. UAB is returning 18 starters, 9 on offense and 9 on defense. And what's important about the returning starters is the 9 on defense. UAB had the 8th best total defense in college football last season, and that includes the 8th best passing defense and the 20th best run defense. For Central Arkansas, though, their defense last year against Austin Peay only allowed a total of 77 rushing yards after that first play of the game, which was a 75-yard rushing touchdown. But I am going to pick UAB to win this game, but I do think Central Arkansas has the potential to pull off the upset. It's just hard for me to believe that the upset could be as realistic as maybe another certain team pulling off an upset later on in my picks. So the next game I have to predict is South Alabama and Southern Miss. And I feel like this is a layup pick. South Alabama really struggled last season. And Southern Miss, they are returning quarterback Jack Abraham, who was a top 10 passer in college football last season. And I think that's good enough for me. I think that this is going to be the start of maybe a Jack Abraham possibly being a sleeper in the 2021 NFL Draft. So I'm going to pick Southern Miss probably to win this game pretty handily against a South Alabama team that really struggled last season. Third game, Middle Tennessee and Army. Middle Tennessee, I like their quarterback play in Asher O'Hara. However, I think with Army returning enough defensive starters, I think this is going to be a very close game. I can't see this being a blowout, but I like Army to win this game. I think it's going to be a very close one. I do think Middle Tennessee could pull off the upset, though, as the line is only 3.5. Fourth game, Arkansas State versus Memphis, and I think this is a very easy one. Kenneth Gainwell, the running back for Memphis, has decided to opt out of the 2020 season. However, there is a new coach for Memphis, as Mike Norvell took the FSU job in the offseason. Well, not technically the offseason, but last December. But quarterback Brady White threw for over 4,000 passing yards last season, and that is the most among the returning starters in college football. Actually, never mind, probably the second best behind Brock Purdy out of Iowa State. I can't quite remember that right now. But either way, I think Memphis wins this game pretty handily against Arkansas State. And the final game to predict this week, probably the best game of the week. In fact, probably no doubt that this is the best game of the week. But Byu and Navy. I think this is going to be a game that is going to be close from start to finish. I do anticipate this game being a low-scoring game because of Navy's ability to really go on long drives with that triple option. And if BYU doesn't stop the triple option early, I think it's going to be a long night for the Cougars. However, with the game being played in Navy's home stadium, but without fans, which I think is another big factor to look into college football this season, is the limited fan attendance, if any fan attendance at all. And it wouldn't be a surprise if we saw a lot of road teams pull off a lot of upsets this season in college football, considering a lot of these teams, they feed off the crowd energy. And I think the difference in this game is the crowd energy for Navy won't be there. I think BYU wins this game in a close one. I'm going to say BYU wins this game by a score of 23-20. I think it's kind of that low-scoring game. I don't anticipate this game going any higher than that. So those are my picks for Week 1 of the 2020 college football season.